Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And I really would like to thank you for sitting through an hour and a half of presentations on a Saturday morning. It really shows how interested you are in the business of natural resources. And I'd also like to thank John for hosting this panel and bringing us all together. So basically, what I'd like to do today is not provide a due diligence presentation, but give you a flavor of what the company is doing, so to hopefully intrigue or pique your curiosity to go and do some more due diligence and look into what John has written, as well as others that have really dug into the company. And as John alluded to, we have a strong management team. I'll cover that at the end of the presentation. And high-impact projects, we've got exposure to both copper and to gold. So in the last several presentations, there are cases to be made for the precious metals because of monetary debasement and also for infrastructure or fiscal spend out in a lot of countries in the world. Which is always a great opportunity for the copper price. In terms of what we have done in the past, based on the previous slide, past performance is no guarantee of future performance. But the management team has been involved in numerous discoveries, early stage discovery and modeling of a lot of porphyries, especially gold porphyries. Most of them have copper credit, but they're primarily gold porphyries, which are a little bit of a unique beast. We've been lucky enough to be involved with several of them to the tune of they're drilled out now to over 45 million ounces of gold. And so we're in a couple of good territories for the discovery of porphyries. One is BC, and I'm sure you're all aware of the numerous big porphyry mines and deposits. Some of them have been in production for over 50 years here in the province, and others are attracting international attention just because of their sheer size of discovery recently. So basically, we have a project here in British Columbia, just south of Mount Milligan, and it is to the northeast of the 10 million ounce Blackwater deposit, just south of Mount Milligan, about 30 kilometers. And so it's in a good territory. We've spent a fair amount of money to date, and we believe that we're on the verge of significant discovery. Our last drill hole into the project, we were looking at a Mount Milligan model, which is to drill mag highs. We drilled the mag high, and we found a barren post-mineral dike, is what it's turned out to be, very magnetic. But within that, we found a block of rock that was totally different. As you can see here, the block on the left is the post-mineral dike. It's very dark. On the right-hand side is monzonite porphyry with lots of sulfides in it. They respond very differently to geophysics, and so basically we set out to find out if we could find a source for that rock on the right. The rock on the right is over 2 grams gold equivalent, and in our geophysical programs that we conducted, we have outlined in magenta there an anomaly that is 1 kilometer by 2 kilometers in size. It's open in several different directions, and within that you can see the magnetic dike in the center of that magenta anomaly. What is significant here is that it's a very strong anomaly. Those squares on the page, if you can probably make those out. Those are 500 meters by 500 meters. And so quite a few of them could fit into that anomaly. But I would say 400 meters cubed at the same grade as that xenolith or fragment that we found would be over 10 million ounces of gold. So it is truly a significant target, company-changing target, and that's why we're currently drilling We're on the second hole, and we'll be able to give the market an update over the next coming weeks. The second project that we're involved in, no matter how big the first target is in Canada, investors would consider it a one-shot wonder. You've got one project with a couple of targets. So we undertook an effort to diversify a couple of years ago, or early 2018, and started making a few phone calls and looking at a few projects. And then our phone rang from a colleague of 30 years ago back in the Bema Gold days, Julia Espiaga, down in the country of Chile. And basically her phone call was, the government's changing, the mining industry is going to be coming back, majors are starting to spend some more money, you guys need to get down here. So we looked at a portfolio of properties and then went down and did some hiking in the Andes, which is always fun, 10, 12, 14,000 feet. And basically we came up with a project that we were really excited about. I just briefly want to cover the country and a touch about the project, and that is that you can do contracts in English and they stand up in the courts. You can do, well, of course, US dollar contracts, and actually we've been involved with a couple of companies and a couple of porphyries down here, and also one of Yale's biggest successes, they'll be speaking after me, was also in Chile, drilling off a big gold copper porphyry, and it was over 20 million ounces of gold. So they're big targets, big trends. We're on a main road an hour outside of town. You don't have to camp on the project. Parts for a drill rig or difficulties, it's an hour into town, an hour back, and it is truly a significant target in our opinion. There are several structures that have copper coming to surface. Some old mining was done on them, and the geophysical anomaly is very distinct, as you can see here. It's about 1 kilometer long, the anomaly, and in this particular graphic it's about 300 meters wide. The other end of the anomaly is about 600 meters wide. We've just completed a program of geophysics that we'll be announcing in the next week or so, and suffice it to say that we've confirmed and enlarged the anomaly quite substantially. So with that, I'd like to wrap up by speaking about management a little bit. Basically, myself and Gary Nordine worked at Bema Gold. Gary was one of the founders of Bema. Julia and Patrick were also at Bema. Julia brought in a couple of projects that turned out to be gold porphyries. Bema Gold drilled off one and put it in production, and then the other one turned out to be about 28 million ounces of gold so far, currently owned by Newmont and Barrick. But she was the Bema's country manager in Chile. And so there's 4 of us that used to work at Bema. A group of us split off back in the day and formed a little company called Eldorado Gold. And there are actually 4 of us now working here that were on the Eldorado team as well. I raised all of the money. Gary was geology. Mark Brown was our controller. And Bruce Winfield at one point for a period of time was our exploration manager. So we've got a good team. Here again, past performance is no guarantee of future success. But we've got a couple of big assets. We really like them. They're distinct targets. There's not a lot of money that is going to be spent trying to develop targets and hope to develop good targets. These are ready to go, and they are company changers. And there's 28 million shares outstanding. The stock is currently trading at 14 cents. So if it trades at $1, that's a 30 million market cap, and I would argue that it can still be a 10 or 20 bagger from there. So I thank you all for your time, and I think this is the first time in over 20 years that I have finished on time. 7, 6, 5. It's amazing. Thank you very much for your attention.